Hello, hello everyone. How are you doing today? We are just Saturday before Christmas. Do you feel the Christmas vibe? I don't really. Maybe because I haven't been to any Christmas party or I haven't been on a walk to see some Christmas decoration or anything. So maybe that's the reason why. But yeah, we're back for another stream, and today is just me, so no guest, and we're just going to chill out. I have a quick chit chat. And I haven't planned anything. Like sometimes I plan some createch streams where we follow some tutorials and do some projects or some games, but not today. Today it's just you and me, and let's talk about the end of the year, how things going for your own company, your own startup, your own project, if you're building anything, and how you feel about that, and anything related to the end of the year. We will do another stream before the end of the year, but not before Christmas because it's already coming next week. What's your plan? Do you already have some plan coming up for the week to come? Hey Metamurai, thanks a lot for your subscribe on Twitch. That's amazing. Subscribe number 19. That's Thanks a lot for your support, Metamurai, and thanks for being around all the time. I see you on the chat from time to time, saying hi, sometimes asking very interesting questions during the AMA. So thanks a lot for being around, and also being around even when I don't have a guest, because I understand it's a very different format and vibe when I have a guest compared to when I don't have a guest. So yeah, thanks for being around. Am I green? I feel a bit green today. I don't know what's going on with the lighting or with my webcam, or I don't know. I feel a bit pale. Well, I'm always pale, but kind of a bit green. That's really odd. We'll see. If it gets worse, I can try to tweak a few things, but I don't like to tweak settings during the stream, because you can really quickly break everything, and that's not the best. I already do a lot like that before the stream starts. But yeah, today that's really odd. I wish I had a clean setup that doesn't change. Where the settings of a real camera stays fixed. I don't have to tweak everything every time. The lighting also, I find the perfect environment, and it just stays this way. But instead, I kind of have to figure it out every time, and redo every setting, so it's never the same. You never have the exact same image quality from one stream to another. Matrix effects, yeah, that's kind of the matrix effect. Yes, really soon you're going to start seeing some letters coming down or up or both. I don't know for you. I'm actually glad I'm starting the stream right now, because I have been a bit running around this morning and most of the day today. Sometimes I have an agenda for the weekend. I have a big to-do list, and sometimes I don't. And this weekend I do. For the past few weeks, I've really enjoyed not having too much on the weekend. I spent quite some time relaxing these days over the weekend. I think it was last weekend I spent a lot of time just playing on my Nintendo DS, now that I fixed it. So yeah, it has been quite nice just to relax a bit. But for a while I used to have to-do lists on the weekend, and it's okay. It depends on the day. But yeah, this morning I did some exercising. I managed to look after my plants. I do have a bunch of plants, and I know December and winter in general isn't the best time for that. Let's say it. But there is some emergency for that. I had some plants that really needed a bit more soil and new support. So I did a bit of this. I wanted to cook. I wanted to do a banana bread, but I ran out of flour. How do you pronounce even that? But I ran out of ingredients, so we're going to wait until tomorrow. But I'm glad that I managed to do a bunch of things before starting the stream, so maybe I can chill out for the rest of the weekend, who knows. I haven't, as I said before, I haven't really been out yet, to go for Christmas walk where you see some decorations, some lights, but I haven't seen much, and I don't know if it's because I haven't been going out much recently, or if it's because this year there is less lights outside and less things to see. I'm in London, and the previous years I used to go to Winter Wonderland and to see the lighting on Regent streets, and it was pretty nice. But this year I don't feel like it. But also I don't know if there is much, to be honest. So we'll see. I have seen an exhibition that I'd like to see. So I try to make it before Christmas, but I can't believe it's already next week. Christmas is coming really fast, and I don't know. I know that December has been a bit hard for me, and I'm sure the case for many entrepreneurs out there, because everything just kind of stops. So it's very difficult season. I did some tweets about that, but. Yeah, it's not easy, because thing is, when you're a founder, you always try to experiment with new things. You always try to new approach to reach out to potential customers. You try to be more. You have a more personal relationship with your potential customers, and you're Yinch, you're stuck outside of Twitch. Hey, good that you managed to stop by, even though you're in the other part of the world today. So that's amazing. Thanks a lot. Maybe that's the reason why Twitch doesn't want you to logging into your account, because of the difference of country or something like that. I know that for me, they always try to send me text to confirm my identity. So maybe because you're not where you're supposed to be, it's confused. How are you doing, Yinch? So I was saying, yeah, December is really hard when you're building a startup, because you're experimenting always with new things and new approach, new techniques and everything. And December is just, you can't do much. I mean, even if you have lots of ideas that you want to do, lots of things, then it's just stops, and you really feel it 1st of December, which is really odd, because when you talk to people who are working for bigger organization, when you talk about December, they always tell you that they have a bunch of things to finish before going on holiday. But when you're on a startup, it's slightly different, because you're not in such a big company, so you either do have something open, like a contract or a project going on, and in this case, you know exactly if you're on time, if you have to renegotiate anything, like where you are. But if you still have some things that are uncertain for the new year, then 1st of December, everyone is just ignoring you, because everyone just is focusing on closing what they have to close before Christmas. But because you're startup, you're not the priority. I kind of feel this way. So like 1st of December, it's over. No one really getting back to you or for opportunities, or there is no point trying to do some business development or reaching out to new potential clients, or talking about new opportunities for the new year. Like that's dead. You have to realize that nothing is going to happen apart from what is already in place before the new year, and that's very frustrating. I feel like there is some kind of December blues, outside of the fact that potentially if you're meeting with your family, you're going to try to explain how you're doing, why you're not doing super well, or why you're not on the on the first page of TechCrunch, or these kind of things, or try just to explain what it is you're doing. I'm glad I'm not going to my family just for that. But yeah, that's one problem. But I will say that's not as hard as just surviving the holiday period, surviving December as a whole, because December is pretty harsh for entrepreneurs, I feel, really. Is it just me, or anyone else feels that? Yinch, I know you have a bunch of things that you're working on right now, so you may not feel this, because I know that you have so many. It's actually good for you, potentially, that things are slowing down a bit. But yeah, for me, I feel kind of powerless. It's not really power. What is it really? Like, whatever I do, whatever I can try to initiate this month, it doesn't really matter, because anyway, this is not going to move the needle before January. So it's a bit frustrating, really, to feel that whatever you do, even if you come up with new ideas, you can just put it on a piece of paper or on a spreadsheet, and that's it. You can't really do much until the new year. So yeah, I guess what I'm going to do next week is to, like I do every year, creating a blog post for my year in review personally, but also I'm going to do like a 6 months review for my company as a blog post for the company. And that's the kind of thing that it's pretty useful to keep people up to date, but I'm not going to post it until the new year, because it doesn't make sense. So you can do a bunch of things to prepare for the new year, but you can't really activate anything, test any new assumptions, or anything like that. And I feel that it was slightly easier before COVID, because you had Christmas parties, networking. So even if you didn't really have business development opportunities or things going on in December, you could always say, okay, that's okay, because December is all about getting to know the people personally, going to parties and events, and meet new people, do lots of networking. So I think that was okay. It was making December okay, plus you were getting slowly into this Christmas vibe. But now that you're just at home working on your own, you're kind of in a bubble, and it's you can really feel that everything just stopping in December, and that can be very hard, very frustrating. Yinch, your role has such a high connection mix, and people stop committing to connection in December, so that must be hard. Yeah, exactly. So, unless you're really in the end of a discussion, or wrapping up something with someone, otherwise there is no point to emailing anyone this month. And yeah, that's frustrating, especially when you're still at an early stage, and potentially you're still at a stage where you don't know what's going to happen next year. You have lots of ideas, but you really depend on discussing with other people, and biz dev, basically, to have some visibilities over the new year, so we know what we're going to be doing in January, early January, to move things, but we just can't do it right now. And yeah, that's frustrating. And yeah, Christmas is next week, but I haven't planned any time to just have a break, have a holiday. And also maybe because I'm staying at home, so that will change something if I was saying, okay, let's just take a break. I see some companies just closing during the Christmas time. Maybe that's a good idea, especially when you have employees. That could be good. Since it's just the two of us, well, there is no point of doing that for us. I mean, we're staying open, but yeah, as I say, things slow down, so we're available if anyone wants to jump on a chat, even though that's not going to happen next week. I don't even, I feel so little that Christmas is next week that I booked my booster jab for next week. And I didn't even think that it would actually potentially affect me during Christmas. No one likes to be a bit sick over Christmas, and I think I booked mine in for Wednesday, for the 22nd. And when I booked it, I didn't really realize that, oh, potentially I will have the side effect for a few days. That includes Christmas Eve. But that's okay, that's not a big deal. So Yinch, how things going? You said when I was talking about what you do with your family over Christmas dinner, you said have family, in a way that you potentially know the struggle. How things work? Do they get what you do? Do they ask you questions about your business, about how it's going? Do they get it? I haven't met with my family in real life for so many years. Over the phone, it's slightly different because you don't really know if they get it or not. So if someone is curious, they ask you over the phone. So tell me again what it is you're working on, and you give a short explanation. The best you can, trying to explain, but without going into too much detail, and trying to keep it very high profile, like a high level, and trying also to simplify the word that you're using, but in the same time, potentially they just say, "Oh, okay," but without getting it, and unless you're in front of them, you don't really know if they get it or not. And usually when you're on the phone, you don't really have the time to go too much in depth into everything. So you're like, okay, let's move on, do something else. Yinshi, you said that your sisters get it. Oh, that's good. That's a good thing. Yeah, usually the people that are your age, like siblings, it can be easier for them to get more technical stuff or things that are related to new technologies, compared to slightly older people. Even though I feel that my grandparents are understanding what we do better than my parents. Yeah, but maybe they are a bit more techy. I can imagine also there must be lots of stress if, so you're not in this situation, Yinch, but I can imagine a bunch of people who are early stage founders, and they potentially left a traditional job where they had a salary, a monthly salary, and they grew the ladder of the company, so they traditional stuff that everyone can understand, and then they quit the job, they start a company, they're still early stage, and at Christmas you have to kind of justify your progress, and you're like, well, things take time, raising money isn't easy, closing deals with customers takes also lots of time and can be very long depending on your industry. So I can imagine how difficult, or how the pressure you may have if you are at a dinner table and like everyone is looking at you like, okay, so how is it better than when you had your stable job before? And that must also be hard on early stage founders, just to have everyone that don't really get entrepreneurship looking at you and like expecting you to come up with something, or to kind of justify what you're doing. You're back on Twitch, Yinch, good. That means that either your VPN worked, or you had some trouble for no reason with Twitch. Yinch, you say yes, comparison to traditional jobs can be commonplace. Yeah, I'm the kind of person who always assume my choices, and I think my family is used to me just taking risks because that's what I do, and what I've always done. But it can be difficult if you have a family that have seen you always taking the safer road, and then suddenly you start a company, or if you have a very stable life, or that looks like stable, and you make this kind of decision. Oh, you changed your Twitch nickname, so that's why. Yeah, now you have your company in your name. That's cool. What's the reason for that? Is it just for visibility? Do you plan to do some stream for your company at some point, or what's the change? I try not to touch much my Twitch for that, but also I am happy I eventually got my first payout on Twitch, and that's super cool. It can take a very long time, and I am part of different groups for people who are streaming on Twitch, and it's funny. I've seen some people actually wondering if they shouldn't just go on YouTube or try new platforms and just forget about the payout because that can take a long time to reach the minimum on Twitch to get paid. Um, but yeah, you were chatting on some other streams, and the identity of Playco seemed an important aspect for that session. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, that can be useful. I know that that's what I do on Discord. I have my name and my company name because even though in many groups it's just me and no one really cares about my company, there are many groups where it's related to the gaming industry or to AI, and that's also useful for just for visibility simply, and to for people to associate your name with a company. Do you have any plan um, for the new year in terms of, I don't know, having a blog post or something to reflect on the year, whether you're publishing it or not? I know I try to publish it because that kind of forces me to just do it. There's just the fact that I know that the previous years I've done it at this specific date. I try to keep it something that I do at least every year. I know that not many people are going to read my year in review because that's not super exciting, and that's also quite personal. I mean, not that personal, but who cares enough about someone to go read that? But I think that can be useful. That's a good exercise, and that can be useful if you haven't catch up for a long time with some people, which has certainly been the case with COVID. There are some people that I haven't seen for ages that I used to see every few weeks. So yeah, it's a good way of just catching up with what's new with people. This week I was in a video call, and someone asked me about my company, and I was kind of didn't know what to say just because I haven't seen this person for so long. I don't know where we left basically. So she told me she haven't seen me since I just decided to start my company, and was like, oh, okay, so that was what, 2 years ago. What should I include? What should I say? Should I give lots of details? Should I just say, oh, things are going well, and that's it? I wasn't sure where I left things. You say that's and she said that sounds like a good idea. You don't have a strong journaling habit. Me neither. Me neither. I try to keep track of things just so I can kind of document it, or for example, for every interview, podcast, everything like that. I try to keep it somewhere because if someone is looking for this specific interview, or if someone is I don't know, mentioning a podcast or mentioning something, I need to be able to find it in some way. So I try to keep track of that. And that kind of brings me back to, oh yeah, I remember now I was working on this and that. I used to have some logs, some personal logs, where I was recording, writing down how I was feeling at certain time, just saying, okay, so that was just for my company, but just saying, okay, this month, this is what we're going through, this is the difficulty. Since the last time I wrote something, this happened and this happened, we're exploring that. Just so if I look back at it, I remember the kind of feeling, the kind of vibe, And yeah, what were the priorities at that time? It's I find it useful, and I'm not a huge fan of a huge fan of journaling, in a sense that, every day you write something down. I don't think that is really useful for me, because I have my to-do list, and that's how I work. That's where you can find me. Some people live through their calendar. I live through my to-do list, and I can find a lot from my to-do list. Yinchi said, I usually think that nobody really cares what I have to say, or they shouldn't. They should read someone else's stuff. I'd hate to be adding to the noise. Yeah, well, I don't know if it's really adding to the noise. I think it's more about, if someone is interested, at least they can find it. I find it useful just because, especially during this time, you can't just catch up with people that easily. And there's some people that I'd love to hear more about what they've been up to. I know a bunch of people who moved in different countries over the past year or 2 years, and so I'd love to if they write something like that, I'd love to just read it, I mean, and check out how things going in the new country, how the new job, how's the life now. So yeah, I think there's always some interest for some people when you start writing things. Doesn't mean that it's going to be the number one post on Medium or whatever, but yeah, if someone is interested, and it kind of keeps you accountable as soon as you start doing it. So I think I'll do it, but I'm also thinking, if family or if some people want to know what you're up to, but they wouldn't read it in my case because they don't really read English. So I don't even know if they know what I do, the different things that I do, because of that, because of the barrier, the language barrier. But yeah, I think people do care, and also I feel that you learn a lot from other people's experience, other people's mistakes, what they're going through, and so it's not just about recording what you've done and all the successes. It's more about reflecting on that, and what you've learned, how you will do things differently in the future based on that. Hey Ashley, how are you doing? Happy holiday to you too. Good to see you here. Mage C. I don't know how to pronounce your name. You say, hi, I have been here for about 2-3 years maybe. You're from Slovakia. Oh, cool. What do you think about conflict between Russia and Ukraine? I unfortunately don't have much information about that, not enough to have to make my mind, to be honest, and to tell you anything that would be useful. So I know a bunch of people who do, and who've been mentioning a few things, but to be honest, I don't think it's covered enough and well here in the UK or in Western Europe. It will require more attention from the press, and to have more information, more progress information and stuff. Today here I find that it's not really well covered, and sometimes you have an article here and there, but not that much. So yeah, I don't know much about it, but you are closer to that, so I'm sure you do have much more information. And I'm also really happy to hear that you've been around for such a long time. I know there are a bunch of people who are coming regularly to the stream, not necessarily asking many questions or not necessarily very active on the chat, but that's completely fine. And thanks to you and to all of you who are around on the stream anyway. Ashley, you're hoping to be in France for the new year. Ooh, okay, so be ready to spend first 7 days in quarantine, because that's the new regulation from today. From today, oh no, maybe not, you're not coming from the UK. So depending on where you're coming from, if you're not in the UK right now, or if you're not traveling from the UK, that should be okay. But if you have to stop by the UK, and if you have to go from the UK to France, be careful because they changed the rules from today, and from today you have to isolate for 7 days if you come from the UK. From Spain, okay, I don't know much about from Spain, but be careful with that. I know about it because every day I read the French news and the British news. But yeah, that's kind of new regulations. But that's cool. I mean, I think they kind of canceling the official things. I was reading today that they have what's the name for that? Firework? Yeah, firework. They have fireworks for the new year just on the top of the Eiffel Tower, and you have kind of a show and people go there. It's pretty nice. But I think they are canceling that this year, so you don't have lots of people there. You still live in France? No, I'm based in the UK. I've been in London now for 6-7 years, so it's been quite some time. But I still read the news there because my family is there, and there is this news app or news magazine TV, or I don't know, this news group that is focusing a lot on business news, and I like following what they say on this front. So they're covering both international news, and having different medium from different countries is very insightful. It gives you different perspective, and it makes you make your own opinion without the bias that you can have. You already have lots of bias depending on the news group, so you also have an additional layer of bias because of the country. So it's good to have different source of information this way. Hey Luke, how are you doing? Good to see you here. I like how you just pop in almost every time. That's super cool. And you've been super active. I saw on LinkedIn that you have launched a lot of new things. Now you're doing some consulting session with people on their resume and on their video call visuals, I think. So that's pretty nice. I was actually about to ask you about what you think about the setup. If you're spending so much time looking at people's setup, if you have any tips to share, I'm always looking for that. I'm always looking to improve the setup, and in some ways it's not getting worse, but let's say could improve a bunch of things. I just don't know how yet. So Ashley, I didn't read the rest of your answer. You said you're going to be skiing before starting building tech for doorstep the gardener. Okay, cool. You got your first investment offer last week, so that's exciting time. I am so happy for you. It's really odd at this time of the year because quite often investors are just closing some deals. So yeah, that's pretty nice. I'm really excited for you and can't wait to hear more about the next step. I saw also you're sharing a bunch of stuff on LinkedIn, and that's pretty cool. And also seeing you the other day in the accelerator program was pretty nice. I was part of the kind of judging panel. It wasn't really a judging panel. We weren't judging anything, but more like giving insight on the people pitching their ideas, and that was pretty nice to see you there. A good surprise. And yes, a change from cybersecurity, I can imagine. Yeah, very different approach, very different needs from your customers. Look, always nice to pop in. You're doing some coaching in careers and video call visuals now. It's nice being active again on LinkedIn now as well. I feel that LinkedIn was really kind of down, not down, but I'd say people were posting crap for too long. And now it's getting better. I see more and more people sharing real insights, real learning, and not just, the bullshit, the usual bullshit. So that's pretty good. Ashley, the insight and challenges you made were Great. Oh, thank you. I think, these kind of pitching events are very useful for founders because you get feedback from people who have nothing to do with your business. And especially if you're not pitching to real investors or to people who are really considering an investment in your company, but just purely pitching to get a feedback. And I feel that it's more real because when you pitch to investors directly, they're going to say things, but that's not necessarily what they mean. They can't just tell you the doubt. They can't tell you what made them tick, right? Because maybe they're not convinced, but they'll think about it and they'll maybe invest in you in the end. Or, there are lots of different things they have to think about. So they can't really give you immediate, honest, transparent feedback. While when you don't have anything to do with the business and your role is just to be here, listen to the pitch, and then very naively give your insight, what you think, what comes to mind first. And I feel as a founder, it really helps you understand, okay, people react this way. And this person has this type of background and this is what makes them tick. Which means that if then you're really pitching for investment to an investor that has a similar background, then you know that potentially this is going to be something that makes them tick. And if you already have the experience or have been in a situation where you have to answer this kind of questions, then you're ready for it. You're more ready because you've been facing this, and usually when you're facing a situation where you don't know what to answer, you're going to work on that for the next time. So I think that's great exercise, and it's something that more people should be doing. Sometimes you join programs, but you need to think of it not necessarily like I'm going to get this or exposure to that, but really, that's going to be a good opportunity just to experiment with this, try to explain things differently, or just have the opportunity to try different things for pitching, for example. Maj, I thought you lived there, but the last time I was here, you had another room, I guess. So, right. Yeah, I moved flat over the summer, not really far away from my previous flat, but the lighting is very different. So now I'm using my green screen just because I didn't manage to find a good way to put some light and put some stuff in my background. So I decided just to go for the green screen. The light is slightly better here, but the background, I don't know. I'm not super excited about it, so I haven't yet found a good way to arrange that. So until then, we're stuck to the green screen. Even for the AMA, I still have my green screen. But that's for another reason. That's for the lighting. Ashley, completely agree, very helpful. That's great to hear. Look, you say you got on LinkedIn Live recently. Ooh, that's cool. So you're figuring out the best way to use that now. I think that LinkedIn Live is a good tool. Even though there is one thing that I find difficult is, okay, you set up your LinkedIn Live, you do your stream there, but then the great thing is that your contacts are going to get a notification saying that you are live. So people who are already connected with you can't miss it. They get a notification every time you go live. So it's a great way of, it's almost like YouTube if everyone you know or everyone part of your list or whatever received an email. But that's with all your contact with LinkedIn. So that's powerful. But in the same time, it's very hard to get people outside of LinkedIn. So, for example, you can't really get really good insight on your data, on your stats on LinkedIn. So, what you want is to convert people from LinkedIn to actually bring them to your main channel. So, if it's YouTube, if it's Twitch, whatever. So, you want to bring it to somewhere else, and that's very hard to do. I know that when I look at some videos I do on LinkedIn Live, there's some people there, definitely, Lots of people are aware of it. Do they click on it? I think some of them do, but not everyone, but some of them do. But then those people are not coming to YouTube. So I haven't yet found a way to bring them there, even though it's a great way for people to be aware of what you do. So if I've learned something about LinkedIn, that's it. And how the stats are very hard to use or to get, or that's a hard part too. Maj, are you still with your boyfriend? Yes, I am, yes. Look, your lighting looks great now. It's okay. It's okay now. But also because I'm using a green screen, I would love to do something with my background. That means it's more like, all these YouTubers that have a very nice streaming room where it's dark, but still there are some lights popping behind. Thing is, I have just a webcam and not a real camera, and it doesn't do really good with low lights. So that would be really, I think, the big limitation for me to create something like that. So instead I have to have lots of lights, and yeah, I don't really know what to do with the background anyway. Ashley, how's everything with Wild Meta? What's your January plans? We still haven't chatted about your vision there. I know, yes. Things are all doing well, doing okay. So I was mentioning earlier that I found December very hard because for us, and I think for many early stage startups, as soon as you hit the 1st of December, no one is getting back to you. You can't really meet with anyone new. You can't really engage new discussions or new things for the new year. It will have to wait until the new year. So that's very hard. And without any Christmas parties and things like that, you can't really say, okay, that's okay. I don't do business. I don't bring anything further this December, but instead I do lots of networking and get to know the people. So that's hard. December is hard for the both of us. But we have lots of ideas, lots of plans for January. So yeah, that's something that there are a bunch of things that I'd like to experiment with, and yeah, thing is we need to think about the next step for us, what we do, how we bring the company to the next step. We kind of stuck with long sales cycle in the game industry. Which is not ideal, so we have some ideas in mind to go over it. But for that, we need to test these assumptions and to talk to a few more people. So yeah, we also need to think about a bunch of things because we can't continue to bootstrap indefinitely, right? You can't bootstrap forever. So we have to find ways to either close some deals faster, or find other ways to use our technology, fit in a different way in the chain or something like that. So it's frustrating in December not having all these ideas, wanted to bring things further, like move the needle, but you just can't. You have to wait until January because now everyone is just busy finishing stuff before the holiday. And when you're an early stage founder, for us holiday doesn't mean anything. We don't plan to have any holiday or anything, so we're still working, but in the same time we try to force ourselves to take it slow. But we don't really have the holiday vibe. Ashley, I think I'm lucky being over here. Things haven't slowed in that way. Okay, well, maybe it's just for us. Maybe because we're also B2B and we're an industry that, maybe takes a break over Christmas, where everyone is kind of closed during Christmas time, and big organizations are just focusing on finishing what they're working on, and so we're not the priority for them. So yeah. Hinge, bootstrap forever. Yeah, that's hard, right? I mean, that's okay if you get lots of clients and revenue and your business is doing well. But otherwise, when you're in an industry where it takes time to close deals, where you kind of still don't have confirmation that you can actually grow a business out of it and have lots of clients and everything, because people don't yet close anything, then you have to ask yourself the right question and have some specific time where you say, okay, so we give ourselves this amount of time, we try different things. Now every few months what we do is we review what we do and the way we're doing it. So every few months we sit down and we start talking about, okay, how we're doing things, how is it going, is it really progressing, should we continue push further in this direction, or should we actually rethink the way we're doing it and try something else. And it's good, but in the same time it feels like, okay, I don't want to do that indefinitely, right? So you have to, after a while, you just use every card you have, right? So we're always trying to bring new ideas, new things, but yeah, you need to kind of rethink the way you're doing it. So yeah, Ashley, that's very kind of you. Yeah, it's actually the problem is not about intros. We've been in touch with a large amount of people, a large amount of studios, some big, some less big, but it's just the amount of time to close a deal. Like we've seen some people interested in our technology, but then saying, okay, so let's talk in 6 months, or let's talk in, we're going to maybe have a project, let's talk over the next 5 years. And you're like, well, I'm not going to be around in 5 years if I can't close a deal. You know what I mean? So it's longer process than we expected. So that's why. Ashley, oh yeah, you have to go. Well, thanks a lot for stopping by. Always a pleasure seeing you, and have a lovely Christmas to you too. Speak soon. And I'm sure I'll hear about your progress and everything over LinkedIn. But yeah, if you manage to get to France, enjoy Paris, because that's lovely at this time of the year. The joy of conversion. Yeah, well, it's definitely something that you just have to experiment. I don't think there is really a secret sauce, a secret that you can follow. Every business is very different, and so having leads, and increasing the number of leads is something that you can experiment easily with. You try this strategy, you see how many new contacts you have, you try that, and you see how it works. But with conversion, it's more about reading between the lines and understanding what people don't say, what they say without saying. And then that's something that is slightly more difficult to get. Maybe it's easier with B2C than B2B for that, because with B2C, well, they buy or they don't buy, while with B2B, you're talking to people, so potentially they're interested, but they're doing something else for now, so you have to wait and to fit at a better time. So it's a bit more subtle, because people can be like, oh yeah, let's talk, and then nothing happens. So it's for sure, I've been learning so much over the past 2 years. It's funny how I've been working with startups for now 11, 12 years, and you think that you know a lot, and you do, in some ways, by working with other founders and by working with people and taking part in their own adventure. You are learning a lot, but then you also have some assumptions or something that you think you know, and you don't know until you actually put in this position where you have to do it for your own startup, and you're like, oh yeah, that's actually harder. And also I feel that when you're not the founder, it's easier to see things. When you're driving the boat, it's harder to take a step back, think about what you do. So that's why I was saying we force ourselves every few months to just look at how we're doing things, and is this really the priority? Should we try something else? Just because we don't have this step back that you can have when you're not the founder and when you just come in to help with something. So it really helps having a set date or a moment where we say, okay, it's been a few months, let's talk about that, and try to find ways to go around some situation or deal with other things. But that's the startup life, right? I wouldn't have anything to say otherwise on Twitter. But I'm glad to see some of you creating content. As I said, I've seen some of you on LinkedIn a lot, and I think that's pretty cool. I think Yinch also. I don't know if you're still around. I had different notification over a few days on Twitter where you're taking part of spaces discussion. That's pretty cool. I don't know if it's something that you're doing on your own, or if you're just joining different spaces. I haven't done any of these, but yeah, I found this really cool. I love that. Yeah, you found that Twitter Spaces are fun. I haven't yet gotten into it, but that's pretty nice. Look, when you freelance with B2B, even that can take weeks to get in the system and approved. Yeah, it can take a very long time, and when you're just a freelance, that should be rather straightforward, right? So imagine if you're offering something that is very new, that also have some impact on the future of how they're doing some things. Yeah, some days I'm just horrified when people are like, yeah, let's talk in a year. And you're like, a year to have our first meeting? That means 3 years to get a contract. So yeah. Interesting, you just joined some topics. It's easy to just join and listen first. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not really into listening. Like, I used to like podcast if I do something else, like exercising or going for a walk. Um, but I would be worried that someone is just bringing me on the scene while I'm doing something else, and I just listen in one ears and that's it. Look, you say that's also why you're giving B2C a try as well. That's great. Yeah, it's definitely faster, right? I mean that also means potentially less money, because with a when you work with a B2B, you're potentially going to talk about not just one session, but actually working together on a project on longer period of time. So that's more stable. But yeah, I can imagine that for you, B2C can also be a great way for that. Yeah. Hey, hi to Pero Perogibus Perogibus Dumpling. Hi. So bad with name. Hi, and nice to have you here today. But yeah, that's it. When you're freelancing, also you kind of always have to think about who's your target audience, how does it work for them, is it taking too long or not, and just experiment with new things. Talking about that, and also personal branding, I'm actually working right now on a new version of my website. I realized that I don't really like my website. It's old. I remember doing it on my own, just in HTML, and the idea at that time when I built it, I wanted to focus on finding a job. It was before I started my company, and so before I started my company, I was looking for a job for about a year, um, and yeah, it that was the focus. So I have my resume on it, I have some stuff, and now I just feel that it feels very outdated. So I've been working on my new website, and this has been a roller coaster just to get the setup, the environment set up to create the website. once you're set up, it's easy, and once you have found the setup that works for you, that's fine. The part where you're creating the content, that's the easy part. I've tried so many platforms, so many things, and in the end, I got back to WordPress because I want to be able to export my website to put it in the instance, like the hosting that I'm paying for. And every time I hear about new tools, because there's many of them, then there's always lots of limitation, and I don't want to pay just to export my website. I don't want to pay for another hosting while I'm already paying for an hosting instance on my own. So it took me a very long time. I've tried different things. Then I decided to set up the same thing that I set up for my company website for so what I use for my company website is I use WordPress, but I set it up locally. So it's hosted locally, and then I export it. And then after trying different things, I said, okay, I'm going to do the same, but on my MacBook. So I can work on my personal website on my MacBook and keep the setup that I have for our company website on my main PC. I've tried to do the same, didn't work out, it was too slow. I think I didn't have enough RAM on my Mac to allocate to that. Well, no, it didn't work out. No, it didn't work out. The tools weren't the right thing. It just didn't work out properly. I couldn't connect for some reason to the internet. I don't know. It was really odd. So what I did is I decided to try a virtual machine. And that's what I've tried on my Mac too. So I tried to have a Windows on my Mac, and then didn't have enough RAM. So I decided to create a virtual machine on my PC. Took me days because there were always something going on. And now it's all set up, and the actual website to do it, I think I've done it in, I don't know, one afternoon or two. So very limited amount of time. But that's very different from the website I have right now. So I haven't yet published it because I still want to work a bit on it on the design aspect. I think the content itself is okay. I'm not trying to be exhaustive on what I've done, every project I've been ever working on, like I used to, because that's too much. But just the few key things that I do repetitively. So for example, inside it, I want to mention the being a venture scout, or the mentoring I do with startup founders, either part of programs or the one-to-one sessions that I do. These kind of things are important, but then people can't really process too much about one person. They need to put you in a box. So that's why I'm keeping it simple. But then I need to work on the design. So I want to improve a bit what it looks like, because right now I've used a template from WordPress, and that had the main element that I wanted, but it doesn't really look very personal, apart from the fact that there's lots of pictures of me on it, which is really odd. When you're doing a website, it's your personal website, and you have to put pictures of you, but then you're like, God, that's just pictures of me, only me, everywhere. That's a bit too much. But in the end, that's what it is about also. Right? But yeah, I need to finish that maybe over the weekend or tomorrow. Look, I found personal branding so difficult, but have just been redoing my personal portfolio and personal brand and feel happy with it for now. Well, it is, you said for now. That's the key. It's always changing. You're always working on new things. You're always presenting yourself in a different way, and so it's evolving. Your personal brand is constantly evolving, and that's something that lots of people don't really get. It's not about your website is a snapshot of what you do, but it can't really cover everything just because it's evolving. So yeah, today we're doing that. That's the main area, but that's not the only thing that you do. And you're using also WordPress. That's, yeah, I feel that that's the best, just because you can do so many things for free, and you're not like getting familiar with a new tool, just for after a few hours realizing that the functionality that you need really, you have to pay for it. And so you're like, well, crap. And I've tried many new tools that are super nice, looks good, very modern, but in the end, come back to WordPress, because you really have freedom to do whatever you want with it. Plus, you have access to the code. If you want to change anything, get your hands into the code, you can do it. So much easier. I really need to find a way to pronounce your name. Peroji. How do you know people try to put you in a box and can't process many things about you? How do you know that's true? Oh, I've experimented with that for many years. I've worked in different industries, and so people can't really keep up with what you do. So it needs to be easy for them to understand what you're up to. And so if you start, for example, if you're doing networking events and you start saying every single thing you're involved in, you lose people because they don't know exactly how they can help you. They don't know who they can introduce you to. They don't know how to introduce you. So they need to have just a few things very easy to understand in mind. And so I know that because I've been doing lots of networking in my life and worked in different industries. And so there's some people that you haven't seen for a while, and they're not necessarily checking all your website and personal stuff, and you see them at an event and they introduce you in one way, and you're like, well, the way you introduced me isn't right for a few years now. And even if it's people that know you and know that what you're up to this day, if it's too complex, they're not going to be able to know who they can introduce you to. And so I remember something that I've done that was very useful for me in my career so far. When I was stuck in one industry, I wanted to switch to another one. The two were very community focused, and so what I did is I started being more public about my interest in this second industry, sharing some articles online, on my different social media, and just saying, hey, I'm also interested in that, so yeah, you know me for this because I've done that for years, but I'm also into that personally. And then thanks to that, someone introduced me to one of the jobs that I got after. So that really helped me jump from one industry to another. And so when I say people need to put you in a box, it's not very negative. It's more in a sense that if you do everything and anything, then people don't know how to present you and what you're looking for. If you say, I'm doing freelancing on this, or okay, I have this project, but I'm also interested in that, that's okay. That's they understand. But as soon as it's 10 different things and no one understands really what's your main project, then that's where you lose people, because they are not going to be able to talk about you because you're doing too much. And so, if you're doing that many things, you're certainly sorted out and you don't need the help. Hey, 7 words, how are you doing? It's been 2 weeks since I've seen you, 3 weeks. How are things going for you? Peroji, don't you think it's true? Have you had different experience with that, or is it just me? You just got 1 week Christmas break. Ooh, nice. Do you have any plans for that? Any Christmas plans? Or non-Christmas plans also? Just break plans? Maybe playing video games, or I don't know. What do you do when you have a break? I haven't had holiday for many years. Last time I had a holiday, I took a big book. I've never finished it, but I remember that was the plan, just reading and having a nice view. But it was now a few years ago, 4? I can't remember. 7 words. You failed every single exam you had because you were watching YouTube all day before exam. That's bad. I mean, but at least you know why you failed. So maybe next time you won't spend that much time on YouTube and Twitch. Pero, you say it's generally true, so that people can process too many things about you. You have to make it easy for them. But you say, but of course, there are some people that want the more specific expertise. It's kind of the same for resume, for example. Yeah, of course. I'm not saying you shouldn't be specific. I'm just saying you have to be specific enough so people get it. But also, if you're doing many things, be careful not to spread it too thin. And so if you're doing, for example, when I was a consultant, I was a consultant here, but I was also doing this and that for money and this. And so you kind of, it's not about being less specific, but more about making sense in one bubble. And so the rest is just additional stuff. But people get what your main thing is. But yeah, sure, being able to find your specific expertise is important also, yeah. What do you do, Pero? What's up with your life? What are you working on? You're a computer engineer. Well, that's cool. It's not boring. It's important. Oh, 7 words you clicked off by accident. Well, that's okay. I was, I don't know if you heard me, but I said that at least you knew why you failed your exam, and next time you can spend less time on YouTube. Why would you want to drop out instead of redoing this year? I haven't redo any year at school, but there is no. It's not a bad thing. There is no shame of that, and especially if it's because you haven't studied enough. It's fine. Life happen. There are many reasons why you may not be into your classes this year, but it's okay to do it again. So it's your choice. You can drop out, but be ready to have a plan on what you want to do. And if you can do it without your degree, if you can do another degree, whatever you do, just I know it's when I was younger, I hated the idea of having a plan B, but in the same time I did have different plans in my head, but it wasn't, it's more about ways of getting to the same ideas. It wasn't really plan B. It was more about, okay, if the path that I have in mind to go to my plan A doesn't work, I still have a second path or ideas how to get there in different ways. So yeah, if you have different ways where you can still do something that you like, that would be ideal. You say staying back a year feels so horrible. Why that? There is it's completely fine. Especially if you're in college. Or if you're not early on in school. I mean, if you're in elementary school, yeah, it's hard on you to have to redo a year. But then when you get older, anyway, people have other things outside of school, so it's completely fine to redo a year. You're going to find other people you're going to bond with, and that's completely fine. And if the choice is either to do another year or completely drop out, and if you don't know what you're going to do, then some people sometimes spend an entire year not doing anything just because they miss the chance to enroll at school by a specific deadline, and so they spend just a year doing jobs, and because they'll have to wait. So yeah, wasting a year or doing another year is not wasting a year. So that would be a shame if you just don't go back to school, if you drop out and then you realize you need a degree, and then, well, you can't register, so you have to wait and waste a year. um Perry, Perry, no. Pero, what are the most influential books you've read? I haven't read that many books that I was really impressed by. I feel that there's lots of books that are, especially in the startup ecosystem, lots of books that are must read, and when you read them, it's kind of obvious what they're saying, you know. So experience of startups, for example, is going to teach you everything that you need compared to reading a book. Now, it can be good to know where you're getting into by reading some books beforehand, but that's not going really to teach you much. One book that I really enjoyed recently, over the past few years, has been Shoe Dogs, and from the creator of Nike, and about his life. And it was very interesting. I really enjoyed how it was written also. It was a memoir, so he wrote it himself, and it's really good. I was really impressed. It was very easy to read, very interesting, and also because it's not covering just the good thing. So it was a very, very interesting, and I think that's the book, non-fictional book, that I found rather good. But then I don't think that there's much books that can really teach you much. It's interesting, it's relaxing to read books, but yeah. 7 words, you say you have to apply to college with these marks, and you're probably not getting to any college. Yeah, so that's why you can just redo the year, have better marks, and then you can apply to a better college if you can pay for college. That's the thing. If you have the chance to be in a situation where you can afford to go to college, or because you're in a country where it's not that expensive, then, you know, you should at least try. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But that's, I don't know. It's up to you, right? But it depends on what you do, what you want to do after. So if what you want to do after with your life doesn't require you to have a college degree, then that's all up to you. But you just need to take that in consideration, right? Pero, what's the most important things for a person to know when starting a business? Um, oh, there's a bunch of them. I would say something that is important to know before you start a business is that's going to be tough, and that you don't have validation of what you do is the good thing. So you always are in a situation where you try to do things, and usually you're going to try them in good faith, in a sense that, okay, I believe that's how things work. So you have assumptions, and you have to understand that you need to validate as much as you can your assumptions, but you're never going to be 100% certain that what you do is the right thing to do. And in terms of product, in terms of approach, in terms of business development, in terms of pricing, everything. So unless your business is working well, and then that means that it's fine. You're constantly experimenting with new things, and there's no one that really going to confirm if it's the right thing to do or not. So when you have a job, you have your boss or the boss of your boss that's going to tell you that what you say makes sense, and so let's do it this way, right? But here, even if you have co-founders, it's just you together making sense of what information you have, right? And so you never really know if the company is going to succeed or die in a few months, especially in the early days. And that's something tough. So now, depending if you're B2B or B2C, you have different challenges, you have different needs. And I see just 7 words that mention money, but even if it's about another conversation, still, money is also a question. Like, how long can you live without income? So I feel that if you're already working as a freelancer, for example, it can help because you understand what it's like not to have money every month in your bank account. So you know that some months you have clients, some months you don't, and so you're kind of used to that. If you're used to all your life have very regular incomes, without big gaps like a month without income or a few months without income, then it can be difficult because you're not going to get money immediately. So from the day you decide to go full-time on your company, whether you're looking to raise external funding or looking to bootstrap, you're still not going to be able to pay yourself for a while. And that's something that you have to deal with. So it's, you have to understand that things take more time than it looks sometimes. So can you actually live through that, or not? And if not, that's okay. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be starting a business, but maybe that means that you need to have clients, or you need to have a source of revenue that is different for a while, or maybe not be full-time on your startup, do some consulting on the side, find the best approach that works for you. But that's something to take in consideration early on, before starting. Pero, do you think some people work naturally better when they get to choose how to do the work rather than getting validation approval from a boss? How do you tell who these people are? Yeah, I do think that there's lots of different people that needs different things. Now, it depends on the people, but also on how things work within the company, and also how it's not necessarily about who they are, but also how they're working with the company. So, for example, I remember once I was working for a company, and I realized after I left, discussing with my former boss, I realized that they were expecting me to take charge of more things. And usually that's my personality. That's the kind of things I do. You know, if I am in charge of a project, if I am responsible for this project, then I'm going to fully take charge of it. And usually, even if I'm not in charge, if I have all the information, then I am naturally trying to get it organized, get people together. But that's my personality. But then I remember doing this job, I didn't, and it wasn't an option for me because I wasn't part of the important discussions about this project and these tasks. So even if I could have taken charge of it and they were expecting me to do so, even now I would say no, just because you can't take charge of things if you don't have access to everything. So it's not just about the people, but that's also about how things are organized. And so if you don't have access to all the information, even if you have the personality to take charge and not wait for approval and for validation from other people, you may still behave in this way just because you're not in a position where you can take this decision on your own. So I think it really depends on the people and also the organization they're working in, really. How do you tell who these people are? Well, I don't think that you do. I think you test it, and you talk to them and you experiment with the way they work and on smaller projects before gradually moving on to something a bit bigger. Do you think there are certain general traits that are more common in entrepreneurs? Yes. I have interviewed many entrepreneurs, so I don't know if you're really familiar with the channel, but every month I do a live AMA with a founder. So I have a guest, which is usually an early stage founders, and so anyone can ask questions, and I ask the question to the guest, and we have a discussion on their own experience, their company, but more importantly, their experience as a founder. And quite often, these people share some traits. For example, I've seen a few founders mentioning that they weren't really good employees, and I completely relate to that. So I think lots of entrepreneurs like to take risks, like to experiment with things and do things fast, like can't really sit down behind a desk and just wait for validation and project to take ages, and that's something that frustrates them. I know that as soon as you put me behind a desk and I have to stay behind the desk, I mean, all the day, every day, I'm going to lose all the spark. I could do it, but I also need the flexibility to just organize my day as I want, to pursue some idea, not having my boss behind my back saying, oh, you do this at this time and today you do that. So I think there are a bunch of traits from entrepreneurs, people who, as I said, take risks, people who like to experiment, people who also like innovation, trying new things, people who keep an eye on what's going on their own industry, not just their job and you come in, you do your job, but actually people who take a step back from what they do, try to understand why their boss is making this decision, how the hierarchy works above their own boss, and the entire different factors in the industry, and try to think about that. I remember, so I used to work with my co-founder at the same company 10 years ago, and even back then I knew that I wanted one day to start a business with him because of the way he was saying things, the way he was extremely good technically to understand exactly how it works and how to do it and how to improve it, but also take a step back and look at the different opportunities from the market and the entire company. So I was very impressed by that, and I knew that was someone I wanted to work with. But I think that's something important also. Seeing outside of what you do, but all the different things that are going to come in place and have some effect. So that's some traits also, but that's very hard to spot, right? And then you have some people who don't really have the type of experience or the jobs that you don't think that they're going to be entrepreneurs, but then they do because they have different motivations. Something can happen in your life that makes you rethink the way you're working, or an opportunity that you have to take. I've seen some entrepreneurs just facing some situation and they understand the pain and they think, okay, I think I can solve that, and that's what pushed them to create a company, because all they can think of is solving this problem. And so even if they don't really have the traits to start with or any influence, even if they don't know any entrepreneur or have any role models or anything, that's not a problem, because they have the motivation to just solve this problem because that's what they want to do. Seven words. Do you like what you do? I do. Yes, I do. And you know what? I think I am quite lucky. It's not luck. No, it's not really luck. I've always kind of like what I do, and if I don't, I just can't wake up on the morning and go to a job I hate. Completely, right? So sometimes you have to make compromises. Sometimes you have to stay a bit longer in a company where you don't really fit, where you don't really like. But in the end, the job itself is feasible. You can stay there. But if I really don't like what I do, then immediately I'm going to look for something else. And I prefer. I don't have much money. I'm an entrepreneur. As I said before, I'm bootstrapping my company. I haven't had a salary for a long time. I also don't spend any money on anything, but that's okay because that's the way I used to live anyway. I never had much money. And that's about doing something that you believe in and doing what you like to do. And even before that, I have left jobs, or I have decided to take some jobs that I just wanted to do, or to be involved in some project rather than working in a big company and doing something that anyone could do. I've always worked with startups. I mean, I started working with tech startups when I was 18. So that really inspired me a lot, thinking and seeing for the first time that I can actually bring value to something and to some people. And so this value, I can't imagine going for a job where I don't bring anything from my personal experience or any value. So there are many ways to like what you do. That's enjoying the job itself, enjoying what you bring, enjoying the people. There are really a lot of things to that. Power, what is more important to you? Status, power, or money? That's hard because I think you need all of them. I mean, if you have, so that's not the only thing that you need, but if you have one of them that is lacking behind, then you're stuck in a bad situation. If you have, you need to have money. I mean, not a huge amount of money, but you do need to be able to make a living. And so if what you do isn't going to bring you a living and enables you to pay the bill, that's a problem, right? Status and power, I think that's a very vague notion, and it really depends for everyone. For me, it's not really about status and power, even though I may look online like I have lots of pride in what I do. I do, actually. I'm proud of everything I do. But it's not about status and power. Power, it depends on how you define that. Some people define power as in power over others, and I don't think that's really important at all to me. But power in a sense that I can show progress to other people and show that, yeah, what I believed in is actually working, and we're making something out of it. That's important, right? Same for status. I don't really know. It depends. If you mean status as title are bullshit, really. So no, I don't really believe in that. 7 words. Business is scary. My father does furniture business and COVID is affecting it bad. Yeah, lots of entrepreneurs had to change a lot, and especially at the beginning of the pandemic, it was a bit of a mess where no one really knew if it was going to last or not, and no one could have predicted that it would have lasted for so long. So everyone was trying to find quick fix, and it took also a few additional months to realize that maybe we're not going to get back to business as usual. So we need to find ways to innovate. But it was hard, and everyone had to find different ways of doing what they do. So it is hard, but that's also what it is to be an entrepreneur, is to find a way to make it work. Whatever happens outside of your company, whatever depends on you, whatever depends on other people, whatever depends on things that no one controls, then it's about finding a way to just make something work. And it's especially true if you start having employees and people who depend on you. It's not just about you and your company and just your own pride, but it's also about making it work so you can pay people that depend on the salary they get. 7 words. I'm going to be taking over the company at one point, and I feel like my life gonna be so annoying. Well, then don't do it. I mean, if there is no obligations, And if I was your father, I had a company, and you don't want to get it and to uh, take it further once I'm ready for you to take over, then I would prefer to sell it or to give it to someone else than to give it to someone who just doesn't want it. Especially when it's family, I feel it's even worse, because you're going to see your father at, I don't know, some family dinner, some Christmas, some events, whatever, some family stuff, and then if you don't enjoy working on this business, then your life is not going to be good. You're not going to be able to enjoy waking up on the morning, going there to work, and that's going to be also sad for your father, because your company is kind of your baby, right? I know my last guest was saying that you shouldn't be emotional, but in the end it is, because that's what you do every day. And when you build something from scratch, it's a part of you in some way. It's something that you invested a lot of your time and your saving and everything. And so yeah, it's sometimes it's just be better not to give it to someone who doesn't give a shit, and to give it to someone who really cares about it. And it works in both ways. You don't want to take over something you don't want to. Maj, I just want to ask, are you an economist? I'm not. No, just a founder. And I have just a lot of experience working with entrepreneurs and startups. That's it. Definitely not an economist. I did had some courses on economy very long time ago. I don't even remember what it was about. I think economy isn't really taught in the good way today. I don't know much about it. It's not a topic I read a lot about, but it's definitely not taught in the good way. Not in a way that is very useful. 7 words. I don't know what I want really. Life just so boring. Well, then experiment. If you're not planning to go to college, then try different jobs. Try to ask people what they do. Watch videos. You said you spend a lot of time on YouTube. Why don't you watch videos about people who like their job? Watch videos about different topics that could interest you. Learn more about what the job of these people are really about, what they do during the day, and you should be able to find something that really excites you. Sometimes it's not about the job itself, it's about the industry, right? You may be passionate about, I don't know, green energy, whatever. In every company and in every industry, you have so many jobs. And there are lots of things that you don't really, nothing can really teach it to you, or you can, but you can also learn on the go. When I know I don't want this school, even though I probably won't survive without it, can't be bothered going there anywhere anymore, even if it's for a few months. Well, I think you are in a good situation. I mean, you are lucky, and you should look at all this way. You have a family that can pay for college. This is not the case for many, many, many people. And you can do whatever you want. You just have to take whatever you do seriously. And that's it. I mean, you could take over your father's company if you want to. You could go to college, study whatever you want. You could, so I think it's just about finding what you want and what's your motivation in doing anything. Otherwise, just stay in bed, but that's not going to come to you on its own. It's not by doing nothing that you'll find what really interests you. So get out, read stuff about business things or not business things. Find something that just motivates you, at least give you some reason to get out to bed, go to school or go to work, until you find really something that interests you. Yeah, your situation is good. No, I'm telling you, when I was in school, I didn't have much money. My family couldn't support me. I was living off some money from the government. I managed to pay my flat when I was 17. I left my family. And so I was on my own. And, I was doing so many small jobs on the side, like things, anything just to get a bit of money, to pay for dry pasta, and that's it. I wasn't really in good health, but when you're young, whatever, right? And so, yeah, I remember I managed to get into a business school. I managed to find a company to pay for it, and then I lost the job. So I lost the school. And I thought it was the end of the world. But I managed to make it work, right? How do you leave your family at 17 legally? It wasn't really legally or not. It was just that I got accepted into a school that was far away. I needed a flat. That's it. I didn't really emancipate it. I was still, I was in good terms with my family. It's just they couldn't support me. So, I find a flat, find some ways to get enough money to pay for the flat, get some job on the side. And I remember I was waking up at 5 in the morning to go to class. I was working very hard. And then, when I lost my business school, it was very expensive business school. I mean, like every business school. But I managed to take some decision. I moved to the US because my school was providing me an internship document. And so I said, okay, I can't pay for another year. I don't have the money for that. What do I do? And so I decided to drop out. But before that, I decided to continue the entire year. So even if I didn't have the degree, I would at least have a proof that I've done another year, kind of an equivalent of a license degree. And then I said, I'm going to use this opportunity to have an internship abroad to actually try my chance and have an experience outside of my country, because I didn't speak really English. My English was really bad. So I took this opportunity. And when I was in the US, I managed to find a way to get a visa to stay longer. I stayed there for a few more months. It was a catastrophe. It was terrible. I had so many problems there. But I always managed to make it work, right? Because it was a choice, and there were nothing waited for me back in France anyway. So I had to make it work. It didn't. I felt really depressed when I get back to France. And it was hard, finding a real proper job. And it was hard. But, that's the situation. And no one could pay for my study, and I knew that, and I still managed to do it. You want to leave, but the second you leave, the police is going to be all behind you. Yeah, but the thing is, you need to leave for the right reason. It's not about leaving or staying. It's about just finding a motivation to do something. You say you don't like your life, but then you don't see any other alternative. You need to have a plan. What do you want to do? I mean, if everything is acceptable as soon as it works for you and makes you happy, but if you have nothing that makes you happy, maybe you need to focus on what you want. I think that's the beginning, and that's not going to come to you on its own. You need to try something, take risk or not take risks, but just have visibility on what the next few months are going to be for you, or the next year. You can't stay here anymore. Well, I thought the problem was school. I'm not sure I get it. Is the problem school, not going to school, going to school? Or is it to stay with your family? Once again, if you don't want to stay with your family, then you need to have a plan. That's okay. But that means that you need to say, okay, I'm going to find a job. You stay a few months and then you'll find a job. But you need to know what that's going to look like. We had a question before from Pero. What is the best advice you ever been given? I don't think there's any, simply because I think that, oh yes, there is one that really stick to me. Someone I used to know and used to see regularly. I don't anymore because we're not in the same country. But someone that I really respected a lot told me once that you're going to fail, so better fail fast. And that, I think that was a good piece of advice. But to be honest, most of the time, when someone gives you some advice, the best thing to do is to listen, but in the same time, try to take in consideration that it's someone's experience, right? So if you have a business, you're going to have every day, every week, some people trying to give you advice on what to do. And you can't be listening to everyone because you're going to get contradictory advice all the time. So getting someone's opinion and advice is great, but you always need to consider that, okay, this person has been through that, they understand this, they have experience with that, this is why they say this. Does this apply to me or not? Can I apply it? Can I test if I need that or not? And I think that's the best thing with advice. There are many ways to get advice. And yeah, as soon as you start your company, you have too many advice. So it's about finding who to listen to and never just follow someone or listen to someone and do what they say just because they say it or because they have some kind of influence or because they're famous or successful. Every success story is very different and every business is very different. So you need to understand and to decide if it applies to you or not, if it's beneficial to you or not. And so sometimes it's not, and that's okay. If someone is saying something and then you say, okay, that's interesting, you just keep it in mind. Don't forget it. Don't forget what people say, because if you hear something again and again and again, maybe there is something to do here, but not based on one person giving you advice. So I don't think there's really good advice. There's good experience, people sharing their experience, and people listening, and that is key. But yeah, Yinch says recognizing what is applicable and what isn't is the whole challenge. Exactly. Getting the feedback is easy. After a while, you actually have too many of these, and you just wish that people stop giving you advice and spend more time understanding exactly the problem instead of just listening to you and then just say, oh, you should do that. But that's actually by listening to people that we decided to pivot the business model last year. So what happened is I created the company in 2019. My co-founder and I went full-time by February, and then we were working on the core technology because we're a deep tech startup for a few months. And after that, we decided, once we were confident that it was working and we have a first demo to show, we started talking to investors, to people in our industry. And so initially we had a B2C path, a B2C plan, but that was dependent on raising external investment, which was difficult. People didn't get it. And well, founding deep tech for B2C is pretty hard anyway these days. So what we heard mainly was people in our industry saying, okay, I'm not sure about B2C, but for B2B there is something here. And for us, our assumption was that in order to do B2B, we needed first to validate the technology with B2C for them, because we thought, oh, and no B2B is going to do business with us unless we have a proven platform, a proven technology with the B2C. And so lots of people with lots of experience in our domain say the same thing. Oh, why don't you just go directly to B2B? Some people will pay for that. And that between that and in fruitful meetings with investors, we decided that it would make more sense. But because we spoke to people in our industry, so they knew about the target market. It wasn't just about advice given on the technology or on the tech aspect, but it was really people with lots of experience in this industry talking about something they know about their industry. But it wasn't just, oh, someone said that, so we're going to do it. We spoke to a bunch of people. We realized that maybe our assumptions that we needed first to have a B2C platform wasn't right, and so we started rethinking our assumptions, and that's how we decided to switch our business model and pivot the company. But so that's very useful to listen to people, but then you need to make the decision on your own to know if it applies or not, because no one knows your business, your tech, or whatever you do better than you. Yinch, you also can't even know it is right until you actually apply it. That's so true. And it's not because it's going to be right for one business, for one specific target audience. That means that it's going to work on your own situation and for your own business. Every failure is a stepping stone to success. This is a painful truth. That's right. Yes. You have a list of things, and then you try. Doesn't work. This doesn't work either. This not that much. But at least you have tried this, and so you know that, okay, what are the next cards to play until you find the right thing that works for you. 7 words. My failure is owns an infinite loop. Success is missing. That is painful truth for me. I love how annoying autocorrect can be. What I meant to say, sometimes people fail and never succeed their whole life in their goals. Well, could happen. And, you always learn something. I mean, if you don't try, you don't fail. And I think the worst thing that will happen to me is just if I stop trying. For me, giving up will mean taking a job that I don't really enjoy much, where I don't have much impact, much insights, and that would be giving up. Why do I take lots of risks? It's because even if it doesn't work out, then you've learned something. You've grown as a person, and you'll keep trying, and that's okay. I mean, you can always, if you look back at your life, you can always find failures, and if you don't, maybe that's a problem. If you can't see anything that you failed, maybe you haven't tried enough. You can look at your experience in different ways, and you can say, oh, this failed, oh, this failed also. But is it really failure? How do you define failure? Life is not fair. That is right. But in the same time, what's the alternative? Apart from trying, it's okay to fail. It's okay to do okay. Every time you have a failure, you also have a small success, because you can always say, okay, in the end, this didn't work, but I still managed to do this and that. When I came back from the US, I was really depressed, and I saw my trip to the US as a big failure. I mean, I dropped out of my business school. I moved to a country where I knew no one. I barely have much. I didn't have money on my bank account. I didn't have much money. I was living on people's couch. I was, it was a mess. But still, I managed to get there, managed to get a visa, managed to stay, I managed to have different jobs. I mean, I managed to do things. And when I came back, I was speaking English. Before I didn't. And so for months I was depressed because I felt this was the big failure of my life. And I thought, okay, what am I doing now? But then over years, now that I look back, I'm just thinking, okay, that was an amazing opportunity and I'm so glad I took the risks. I'm so glad I just did it, because my life would be very different today. I wouldn't be here in the UK, for example. My English will still be crap. And I will definitely not be here in the UK. I don't know what I would be doing, though. Um, Inch, I have read that failure is the best teacher. This is true, but we have to make ourselves be better students. That is so true, Inch. Yes, that's correct. And we need to think about also about failure as an emotional state, something that you see as failure. This is because today you don't have really the capability to take a step back from this experience, and it's still very much emotional. But at some point it won't be anymore, and that will be just decision that you took. And especially when you're building a business, you're going to make some mistakes. Now, it's funny, my co-founder and I, we quite often think about all the things that we've done since we started the company. And, we could quickly have regrets about things we've done, regrets not speaking fast enough to video game studios, regrets not, lots of different kind of regrets, right? But in the same time, every time we speak about it, every time we end up with the same conclusion. With all the information we had at our disposal at this time, this was the best move we could do. Now, today we have more information and it's easy to say, oh, we should have done that, we have failed to do that. But we also always have to remember that you make decisions based on what you feel and what you know. You can't just, know what you don't know. So learning about failure, but also taking a step back and try to see something not as failure or success only. It's not just black and white. It's a lot of things, Yes, in the end, this new project didn't work out, but I've met this person that actually helped me land this new job, or I've learned these new skills, I've got this experience, and now maybe in 3 years I'll do this project differently. And, everything in your life kind of fit together because that's your own experience. And what do we have? Yes, Yin says make the best of the advantages that come your way. Definitely. And that's also what it is about taking risks sometimes. You see an opportunity, let's do it, Sometimes you have to just do something that just excites you, but also frightens you. But that's good. That's in a good way. People who say they did everything without any help and favors and lucky breaks are lying. Yes, luck and external help is necessary for success. Timing also is, that's kind of part of luck. That's something that you can't really predict. I have seen some people working years and years in industries they believed in, and the industry never took off. And then at some point you just have to give up, even if you love that. But the other scenario could have been true also. The industry takes off, it's the next hot thing, they raise lots of money suddenly because what they do is cool, but also because there is a huge interest in this industry at that point. You can't really predict all that, and so luck is luck plays a big role. 7 words. Are you going to celebrate Christmas? Yes, I am. I am. I'm doing not really celebrating Christmas with family or lots of people like lots of people do. I'm going to do like every Christmas over the past few years. Staying at home with my partner. This year we don't do any Christmas presents, which actually is some kind of relief. I don't have to think about Christmas presents. That's the first year in my life where I'm not buying Christmas presents. That's a bit weird, but yeah. And we're just going to get some nice food. As usual, certainly some salmon. I know exactly what dessert I'm going to do. So I already ordered some supply. I wanted to do also banana bread today. Didn't have enough flour, so waiting for tomorrow. But yeah, I know exactly the dessert I'm going to do, and get some food, some Christmas movie, and that's it. Yeah. Don't do much for Christmas, but to be honest, I'm really happy about that. Not having to spend Christmas with family, not running around between different families, or because you have to spend 24th, so Christmas Eve in one family, the Christmas Day and another family. So yeah, really chill out. And the good thing is everything is closed, no business to do, so I can just chill out. Sometimes I also on Christmas Eve watch some streamers on Twitch. So they just do nice just chatting stuff on Christmas Eve. So yeah. What's your favorite movie? Oh, I don't have a favorite movie. I don't. Yeah, no. No favorite movie. As I said before, I don't really feel the Christmas vibe, really. But there is something that I bought and I thought that would bring me more into Christmas. I bought some Butler's thing. It's like a big piece of chocolate, but that's something that you put into hot milk and it becomes a hot chocolate. Butler's, I've known this brand when I was in Ireland a few years ago. I was stuck in the airport. I got a plane very early in the day. I was working for this company, so I was in Ireland for just a few days and for a conference, and then I was supposed to come back to London. I had this plane very early, and I don't know why, in the airport, there were nowhere to find food. No one was doing anything for breakfast, and I wanted something for breakfast. I am a breakfast person. I don't eat eggs for breakfast. I need something with sugar, something that, I don't know, something really breakfast for me. And there was this Butler thing in the middle of the airport. I didn't know about the brand, and I think that's the best chocolate drink I had in my life. It was so chocolatey. I didn't think you could actually be fed up of chocolate. I didn't think that you could have so much chocolate in a drink that actually you're like, oh, that's almost too much chocolate, and you can't even finish a drink. I didn't think it would be possible. And I thought, oh, this nice Butler's thing, that sounds good, right? If I can replicate the experience I've had there. It wasn't that great. It was okay, but no, not that great. So that's okay. I keep that best chocolate drink in my memory. I don't know what I'm going to do this weekend. I literally have nothing to do. Well, 7 words, you can do a lot of things. Right now, you're on Twitch. I don't know for you, but for me, it's already the end of the day, so the day is kind of over. But there's many things you can do. If you don't want to think, you can watch YouTube videos and get into some rabbit hole where, I know that my partner does that a lot, where you start watching a video on a topic that is usually very random and very technical, or and then you just watch another video and then another, and so in the end you've learned a lot about the topic because you have different people bringing you so far, but you don't realize that you have accumulated lots of knowledge. So what about you learn about new topics, or you do something that you've always wanted to do and don't have the motivation? Small things, small tasks, like, I don't know, cleaning something that you left on the corner for weeks. These kind of small things. I like the fact that when I do that, usually I feel really good about my weekend, just because I've done that and I've been pushing this back for a very long time, and now it's done. And that small things that takes 5 minutes that you don't do. I'm going probably spend the weekend in jail because I'm going to be gaming, and gaming is banned. Gaming is banned? Why? Where are you based? Why is gaming banned? Then learn something. Work for your next exams. Find ways. Don't you have what's the name for that? When you fail an exam, but you have a chance to take it again. What about you decide that you take that chance and work really hard for that? Or prepare for your next move, your next step. I know I don't have much for this weekend, and I'm glad for that. There's a bunch of things that I wanted to do for ages, and every weekend I just don't, or every day, I've managed to integrate some things in my routine, but there are a number of things that I never managed to get back to my routine, and I hate that. I want to, and I try, and it just doesn't get in. I'm glad that I managed to integrate in my routine exercising. For a long time, it was a bit of a pain. I didn't like to exercise. I was going for a run from time to time, and I'm not good at it. But my what's the name for that? Oh, sometimes some words don't come. I don't know. But I used to smoke for many years, and when I stopped smoking, it took my body years to recover. But now I have fully recovered, and so I enjoy a bit more doing exercising. But then it was about bringing that to my routine, and it took me a long time. But now I don't know. I do sports at home about, I would say, 3 times a week minimum, and now it's part of my routine. Almost every day I do a break at a specific time, and it's good. But I haven't managed to learn to play the guitar. I was doing some online courses for a while. I think it was, when I was looking for a job, and when I had a job, I managed to integrate that. But now I don't know. I don't know when to do that. So I was following this course online, and I really enjoyed it. It was also helping me having a break, and also it was one day I'm doing exercising on the evening, one day I'm playing the guitar, and so it was easy. But now I'm doing more exercising, and I completely skipped the guitar away. And also the course I was following was free, and now I think I've watched all the free videos, so I have to find another way to help with the courses, providing some kind of guideline. And when you're at a stage where you're not a complete beginner, so you don't want to watch like the first course video for complete beginner, but at the same time I'm not really a full intermediate, so I still need a lot of guidance. You're trying to find some courses online, and without a clear plan you can't just get back to it, right? So I need to find a way to bring back the guitar. I did something when I moved flat over the summer. I put my guitar just behind me in my background. So every day when I have video calls, or every day when I sit at my desk, I see my guitar behind me. There is also the amp that is next to it. Like, everything is ready. It's just the motivation, getting set up, and know what to do, what kind of practice to do today. That's stopping me. But I want to. And I'm not saying, oh, that's my New Year resolution, because that's not about resolution. I don't really believe in resolution. That's about finding a way to make it back into my routine. Hey, Mythicos. Hi, how are you doing? Geek Talks, perfect place for me. Yeah? Why that? What do you do? What brings you here? What are you up to? And happy holiday! Saying that now because I think that's the time. It's already like we are the 18th, so at the moment where I need to think about greeting holidays card. Yes, I need to add that to my to-do list for next week. At least for the company LinkedIn profile, just to say, hey, happy holiday, everyone. Wow, so many questions. Looks like an exam paper. Oh no, sorry for that. Yeah, no, I just thought you say geek talks. So I'm wondering, what kind of geek I expect? What is geek? What fell into this category? Too many questions, I know. Sorry for that. Just saying hi, and it's good to have you here, and thanks for stopping by. Electronic engineering. Oh, cool. 7 words. We have a lot of people on the stream that are in engineering. You could ask anyone about what they want to do. That could inspire you, maybe. And lots of people also are still students. That's pretty cool. I think this weekend I may also... There are a bunch of things I need to do. I have recently, and when I say recently, I mean this week, I have started doing short on YouTube. So not short of me, like Instagram style, more... so I do these live AMAs every month with startup founders. And so what I've done is usually after the AMA, about a week after, I spend some time on the full video to create a short highlight video. That is just a short clip that I use for promotion on social media and everything. And so I knew that YouTube was kind of promoting this short format, but I didn't really look into it, right? And I'm thinking, I haven't really done enough on my YouTube channel to promote the streams, to promote the AMAs. I mean, I have had my routine, but I need to constantly do more because it's not growing much. And that's okay, but I'm thinking if I can do a bit more and grow a bit the community, that would be fantastic. So because things have been slowing down in December, I've been thinking maybe I should upload the short videos into a real short, right? I'm already making them. The only difference is that to fit into the shorts, the YouTube shorts box, you need to do a video that is less than 1 minute. So I may have to shorten a bit some of these highlights that I have, but I still need to do the highlight for my last AMA that was last Friday. I haven't yet had the time to do it. So I need to do this. And I already have one guest for January, which is good. It's giving me more time to find a guest for February. And I need to see, because last AMA, I had lots of great feedback, and it feels like people have been enjoying having a maker, someone who have been bootstrapping their own project, making money from it, rather than the usual traditional startups. And I'm thinking if that's something that really interests people, we could have more of this for 2022. So yeah, I'm going to this weekend to create another short for this video that takes quite some time, especially if people have been saying lots of very interesting stuff during the stream. I took lots of notes, and I don't know yet what will be the focus and what I can fit into 1 minute. But I'm going to try to do that for this weekend, and I need to finish my personal website that I am revamping right now, mainly on the design aspect. I'm not really good at design. So I need to see what can I do to improve what I already have built. Medicos, short format is crazy nowadays. Yeah, and I think YouTube is really promoting it right now. It's funny because they haven't mentioned much on the monetization aspect, even though I'm far from that. I'm so far from that, but that's okay. But still, it can kind of prevent some creators from focusing on that. But it looks like they are highlighting a lot creators of shorts. So I don't know. I'm just thinking if I do it anyway for social media promotion, better upload them to my channel. And because it's kind of new for YouTube, what they do is they put it on the top of your homepage. But it looks good because it looks like very different, very highlighted, separated. So that's fine. It doesn't look like it's mixed with your videos. I mean, if you go to the video section, it is, but on the homepage, it doesn't. So it kind of doesn't mess up with everything. And so something I've done also is sharing this week a clip from every single AMA we've done over the year. So that's a dozen of them. And that's pretty cool because it gives me the opportunity to get back to these people, get back to what they've been doing then, and re-listen to the main thing that they've said, and that was pretty cool. Hey, yes, yes, I don't know. Hey, how you doing? Mythicus, you have your own startup? Yes, I do. Yes. Yetis, Yeti. Thanks for your follow on Twitch. Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks. Actually, I'm doing really good. I'm happy. I have done a bunch of things today already. Enough of my to-do list to say, okay, good. Now I can chill out. You know, few things I wanted to do, and now it's like, maybe if I spend the rest of the weekend on the couch or playing video games, that will be fine. I have done the few things I wanted to do over the weekend, so that's good. How about for you? How are you doing today? And how's the weekend? Follow wage. It's follow time. Yeah, it's not a comment. No, why follow wage and follow time? What is this? As comment. What would you expect typing that? Please let me know. Is it something people are doing? Follow time? What happens usually on streams when you type that? Because I do have a few comments, even though I'm not sure how much up to date they are. I haven't touched much the setup and this kind of settings for a while. Ooh, Yede, you are starting a new job on Monday. Congrats to you. Yeah, I guess you're nervous. Thursdays is always odd. I think it's always the worst day at a company, just because you're trying to integrate so much, but in the same time, you can't do much because you don't have yet assimilated everything you need to know. So you spend the day getting set up, getting your account, getting everything. It's boring, but it's necessary, and you always want to give a good impression. So yeah, butterflies in the belly. That's pretty good. Congrats to you. What kind of jobs are you starting on Monday? 7 words. It's for how long I have been following. Oh, okay. No, I haven't been setting up this. Yeah. Why? I don't know. Maybe I could. I don't know. Why not? I'm wondering if it's linked to. So the thing is, right now we're live on just 2 platforms. We are live on YouTube and Twitch. Usually, when I do the AMA, we are live on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Twitch. So that's a bunch of channels. And so I am really careful when I implement new commands, because it may not work everywhere. And everything, every single chat is brought together into one single chat. As you can see here, people from YouTube and Twitch are commenting on the same chat. So yeah, I don't know how it would work really if I implement something like that on the different channels. Yeah. Hey, Fajar. Good morning. How are you doing? Hope you set up your website HTML to Netlify and deploy. No, I haven't, but I have managed to complete my setup. So what I've done instead, I have lots of try and fail. What I've done is I am hosting locally WordPress with a virtual machine. So I have first a virtual machine and then a local hosting of WordPress. So I can export, because the main thing for me was to be able to export my WordPress into a static website, into the code that I can then upload into my own instance that I already own and pay for. So the new version is not yet out, but yeah, I'm working on it. So the most important thing is, at least the setup is good. I can work on my new website, and the setup took ages, but having the right environment is what took most time. Starting working on the website took me just a couple of hours. Now I just need to find a best way to do the design. I'm not really good at design. I know that's funny because you are working on designing stuff, Fajar. I know you have a design agency and everything, so yeah, I'm not really good at that. But yeah. Yete, oh boy, what you're speaking about is what my profession is. Oh really? No way. Fajar, looking forward. I'm so happy EPG is going well. Yeah, well, I wish it was growing faster or a bit more, but that's my fault. I think thing is, I have been promoting the interview every month, and I have been keeping promoting on the same channels. So people that I'm promoting it to already know about the AMA. So if they're not following me on YouTube or Twitch, that means that they're not going to follow now because they already know about the channel. So I need to experiment a bit more. And I mentioned before, that's why I'm experimenting with shorts. I'm putting my highlight videos that I use for promotion into my YouTube now. And you tag me on Telegram for another founder to be interviewed. Yes, I saw that. I need to follow up on this. Seven World, you say this YouTube bot is kind of sick. Yes, so can you read what I'm writing on YouTube? Yeah, so right now on the chat that you see brings together the chat from YouTube and from Twitch at the same time. When I am live also on LinkedIn or on Twitter, it also works this way. So instead of seeing the icon on the side from Twitch or Twitter, you see the Twitch or YouTube, you see the Twitter icon or the LinkedIn icon. Get people to subscribe, and you must hit 1,000 subscribers soon. It's hard to reach 300. I don't know when I will be able to reach the 1,000, to be honest. I would love to. Also because it opened monetization, and I'd love to be able to monetize with ads, and other than saying to people, oh, support me on my Buy Me a Coffee page and book a one-to-one session, even though that's pretty cool to be able to do these one-to-one sessions. But still, I would prefer to be able to monetize with ads and get a bit of money out of it, and that will help me focus a bit more on it also. And numbers are numbers, but having new people coming in, staying around, it's super cool. And having a bit of money out of it, it's always a great motivation for a project because it can justify spending more time or money on it. By the way, I got my first payout on Twitch this week, and that is super cool because I have started being an affiliate on Twitch about a year ago, 2 years ago. Oh, I can't remember. I remember it was in December. Maybe it was 2 years ago. but you have to reach $100 on Twitch to get a payout. And that's so long. I mean, I have between 1 and 2 subscribers a month. Now, the price of a subscriber on Twitch, but you have to remove the cut from Twitch, right? So you have a small amount from this small amount. And so it takes really ages to get to the right to the payout. So I'm so happy because I don't know if I will have a second payout on Twitch. So that is super cool. Tweet it on Twitter, thread it if you're offering these. Yeah, I do tweet it about it from time to time from the one-to-one session, and yeah, I do. I don't want to be like, oh yeah, give me money, I create content, give me money. Especially as I don't create that much content. I mean, there's the AMA, and I wanted to do more videos, and I tried at some point. But the last video I wanted to do, I never managed to get it right. I have tried recording it several times, at least twice, in 2 different flats, and I wasn't happy with the results. I edited it, I re-edited it, wasn't happy with the results at all. I can't blame the equipment. I haven't been able to invest in proper equipment, but I don't know if that just it, to be honest. So I don't know, I was just not happy, and so I decided, okay, you know what, let's just do the live stream and do more live stream. So yeah, you just tag me on Twitter. Ooh, I'm checking this out. By the way, for everyone that is new on the channel, if you ever want to reach out to me outside of the stream, if we can connect in any way, I am usually active on Twitter, that's the main channel, or on my Discord also. There are a few of us on Discord, and yeah, it's pretty nice. Especially we are all founders or aspiring founders, and just to share some ideas, talk about some articles we've read, or just share some progress. It's pretty nice to have the opportunity to just celebrate each other, amplify sometime, like retweet or amplify some messages. So yeah, if anyone wants to continue chatting after the stream or anything, Discord or Twitter. And for that, I do have a comment. Look, Twitter and Discord. Here we are. See, I do use some modern tools. I wish I was doing more. There are a bunch of things that are for my to-do list for the stream. So for example, there is this Buy Me a Coffee page that I mentioned before. That's a platform I use for people to book one-to-one sessions, but also buy me a coffee. And what I would like to implement is create some kind of design or something that appears when someone interacts with it. So someone that subscribe or as a monthly member, like Yinch, who is on the chat, but also Zappa and Andrea and Roy. So that's the monthly subscribers that I thank for their support during every AMA and during every live stream. But yeah, so what was I saying? So I use this, and what I would like to do is every time someone interacts with this, so either book a session or buy me a coffee or becomes a member, there is something going on the stream visually, maybe something next to my webcam, or I don't know, something that is not just the big buy me a coffee logo that comes in. So I need to look into that. I don't know if I need to use the API, if there is something already developed for that. I need to look a bit further into this. I'd like also to redo a bit the interface, just to have a bit more dynamic elements. So for example, there's my there on the corner, that's my Twitter. It's static, it's not moving. So I like to create some animation for that, just some text coming in and out with my different channels. So a few things I'd like to do to improve the stream, but I watch a lot of streams, and there's lots of things I'd like to do like them, but that doesn't work if you're not a big channel. You know, like, I don't know, Hype Train never had that, and that's not going to happen. Other things, you know, so if anyone has any ideas of things that I can easily implement that you think would be cool for the stream, let me know. I'm always happy to explore ideas. It's like channel points, for example. It's enabled, but that doesn't change anything, because even if you don't have many points, I'm going to read your comment, right? So it's not like, oh, you have that many points, you can use them to highlight your comment. No, I'm going to read it anyway. So yeah, if you have ideas to make the most of this, I am definitely open to just ideas. Oh, Fajar, you tagged me into more tweets. Woohoo! I like it. You know, that's amazing, because you do have a really nice community, Fajar, and a tag. It's well, it sounds simple, but that's super cool, because that usually means people who are really interacting with you. Like, you know, it's not like when you have some influencers and they have people who are just following what they say and then you're not interacting with them, but actually that's people that you're having a chat with on another discussion, and, you know, really active people on the startup ecosystem. So that's pretty cool. So you are DMing me for buying me a coffee swag link. What is that? Oh, I'll have a look at that. Ooh, that would be cool. I didn't even know it was a thing. Okay, I'm going to look at that after the stream, but thanks a lot, Fajar. And I really love your community on Telegram. I'm not super active every day, simply because I am on too many communities to be active everywhere. But I always find it really interesting, and quite often read some of the links and project that you're putting there. So that's pretty cool. Yinch, tweet comments, cool. Yeah, it has been here for a very long time. I don't know if I promoted really well, but yeah, it's here. Well, the thing is, anyway, all the links that you have through the comments, you can also have them in the description. So it's not like, oh, that's just exclusive to the comments. But yeah, sometimes some people try some comments, like 7 Words did before, and that's a way for me to think, oh, people are using this. Should I integrate it or not? And usually I do, unless forget about it. I don't have much memory. I have a very bad memory, so that's also why during the AMA you see me taking notes, because I can't just remember, oh, this person said something interesting about that, and then, oh, I could integrate that into a highlight video. I don't have the memory for that. I'm listening to my guest, taking notes if I think that should potentially get into an highlight, and that's it. I can't think too much about it. 7 Words, you're back. Oh, you left. I didn't know. So that's going to be a lot of stuff to check out and to retweet on Twitter as soon as the stream is over. Did I miss any chat, any messages? By the way, no, I think we covered everything, right? So Yete, you said that your new job is a remote job. how do you feel about that? Have you worked remotely a lot before? And uh, how how's the how do you feel everyone about onboarding, well, getting onboarded in a new job remotely? I remember I was working remotely before the pandemic. For a few years, I was working for two companies fully remotely. Um, it can be hard. It's funny, but even if you do it really well, I feel that it can be difficult sometimes, especially when everything can go well, and then you meet people in real life and you realize that you're missing something. It happened to me once. I was working for this company remotely, and I was doing my job. My team was fully remote. It went really well, but one of the team wasn't working remotely. One of the team had their own office in a specific country, and everyone else was working remotely. And so I didn't have much contact with this team. And when I eventually spent more time with them, first time it was great because it was a great way of getting to know the people. And so I felt more comfortable checking them out and asking for feedback or just reaching out to them because I've met them in real life. But then a few months passed and I've met them again. And then I realized it really hit me that they are not remote and they have a different way of working. And that's funny because I'm missing on something because I'm not checking on them enough. And so I had some assumptions and realized that, oh, maybe we're not on the same page on everything. So it's already hard to be on the same page with people when you're in the same office. Remotely, it kind of requires some extra work. And I feel that if I have stayed longer in this company, I would have made sure that I would have communicated with everyone in this team that was not remote more often. Just having some maybe chill out coffee, remote coffee or virtual coffee or whatever, just to make sure that we're on the same page. We can talk freely. We can vent also. That helps. But yeah, it was funny. Fajar, you say you tag me in another tweet. Ooh, that's my day. And you say you're pivoting your design agency to remote design studio, so productized service. Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. How's the pivot going? How do you approach that? Do you have a special plan? Is it because of the pandemic, or is it just more of the people mindset that changes and it makes more sense, or some opportunities that that arises in changes in the way people approach design agencies? Because design agency, by definition, you can be remote. It's not tied to a special place or anything. Usually when you work with a design agency, whatever the type of design, you have kind of a brief or an idea from a client. You meet the client and then you just agree on stuff and then you do your thing on your own. So technically you don't need to be in one place. You can be fully remote. So you just make a simple PDF page, more remote plus demands, plus providing solution monthly basis. Oh, okay, I see. So more returner things. Okay. Oh, that's nice. Have you already launched that, or is it still in the work and going to be launched in 2022? Because I remember last year, I spent December planning ahead for making our pivot official. So December was for us a time where we were thinking about pivoting the business model. So it was very exciting because we were really busy. We needed to convince ourselves and then think about how we're going to do that. And so that was really exciting because we were planning for very specific things to start happening in January. So yes, first we need a website that works with this vision, and then we do this, and then we do that, and we officialize it this way. So that was almost like a product launch, where you coming up officially with a different way of doing something with whatever you do. And so yeah, I think that made December really exciting for that reason, because there was something very specific happening in January, and we were eventually going to start talking to the world, because until then we were pretty much in stealth. Service is fast money, but I need productize it so it must so it's more scalable for serious customers that keeps coming back. Yeah, it's very hard to scale a service, right? And well, I know that because I pivoted my business model to a service-based business model. So every time we spoke to investors, they were like, "Oh, but that's not a scalable business model." And you're like, "Yeah, but if we make it scalable, it won't work for our customers. The target audience can't use that." But yeah, no, that's I completely get that. Finding a way to scale is key to growth, right? Growing without scalability means you start with a disadvantage. I mean, you can work well and you can make good money, and that's fine. But if you want to grow, then it's harder to put that in place. So yeah, no, that's pretty cool. And also it's a way of getting customers, keeping them, as you say, because especially with a design agency, it can quickly become just a one shot. So someone has some needs, they come to you, and they may come back to you if they have another need in a year or 6 months. But yeah, you need to find having ways to get them around you and stay in touch, and stay not just in touch, but actually keep working with them on different type of projects. So productize, I love that. I can't wait for it to be more official. If I can find a website or something already up, I definitely have a look, because yeah, super curious about that. Has anyone else or also pivoted their business, or have any questions about that? That's something I wanted to be more transparent about it. I wanted to do some videos and some stuff on that, and is that the video I tried to record several times? No, that's not this one. But I just didn't know how to do that. How to, like, I'm happy to talk about it, but because everyone's stories is different, you can't just wrap it up around, okay, that's how people do it, and that's the main thing. But that's something natural, though, to do for startups. Let's just making that clear. Yeah, 2022. Okay, so I'll keep an eye for that. I'll make sure to I'm certainly going to see that on your social media. I'm following you on many platforms, so I'm certainly going to see it and make sure to cheer for you. I'm out of water already. Crap. Yeah. So for sure, it's already almost Christmas. I don't know about Singapore. I don't even think it's a Christian country. I think it's a Muslim country. I don't know. Is there any Christmas vibe at all, or is it just business as usual? Because that's the thing, we talk about Christmas being around the corner and everything, but sometimes we forget that it's because of where we're based. I mean, I'm in London. Lots of holidays are based on Christian holidays, even though the religious aspect is forgotten and not really important. Still, that's a country that celebrates Christmas. So yeah, But it's not the case everywhere. Let's not forget that. Watching Spider-Man and Kingsman. Oh, don't spoil. No spoil. I've heard so many people who are trying to go watch Spider-Man and can't get a ticket. I haven't been to the cinema for years. Something that surprises me, cinema in the UK is very expensive. Um, Much more expensive than, let's say, in France. So, it's a budget to go to the cinema. I found a cinema before the lockdown. I don't know if they still do that. I found a cinema that has very cheap tickets on Monday evening. Maybe Monday is a day where there's no one. I don't know. And so I used to go back to the cinema because of that. And then since the pandemic, I haven't been at all. So I need to check it out. But yeah, I'm waiting for it to be available on the streaming platform, even though it's going to take a while, I think. So I'm going to try not to get spoiled until it's out. I didn't know Kingsman was already launching. I didn't follow that. That's cool also. You are a multiracial and religious country. Okay. And you've been experimenting on your personal site for 2 years and prioritize yourself. Yeah, well, the thing is, I think to experiment with in the way you've done it, it's great, but you can also do that because you have a community around you. And so that's the thing. There are a certain amount of things that you really need to have some visibility because people don't have any other reason if they don't, if you're not coming across new people regularly, then you can't attract new people onto your website. So you can't really experiment with that unless you really have an audience, which you do. And so that's great. And I would really be curious to hear more about your learning about that. If it's really about your personal website or if it's more about the other activities that you do on the internet, especially on the different social media, and what's really the main factor for people to to engage into any product that you have out there. So yeah, I was really inspired actually to do my website after I saw you, because it's in my to-do list for months to revamp my website. And as I said, most of it is done, and I decided this time to keep it very kind of light, but just focusing on a few specific things instead of trying to cover everything I've done. So it's not going to be a resume of my experiences, more of a snapshot of the kind of things that I do. So if people want to engage with me, in a way, they have kind of an idea of the thing that I'm doing and I can do as a consultant or freelancer or whatever. Things that not everyone is aware of, like mentoring with startup programs, or the fact that I'm an assessor for different competitions, these kind of things. But seeing a website really inspired me, and I was like, yeah, Fashio does a bunch of things. Still, he managed to do a website that is complete and gives a good overview, and that's great. And that's also very simple. So yeah. How you say it took you 6 months for your new version of the personal site. It does take time, right? It takes a lot of time to think, what do you put out there? Well, the design for me takes a lot of time because I'm bad at design. But yeah, it's hard to know, and in the same time, you want to go fast because you as soon as you start working on a new version of your website, you feel that your previous website was completely updated. It's not, but because you're working on something new, it's a strong feeling that, well, actually, my current website doesn't reflect what I want because now I'm going to this direction. And so you kind of have this pressure in the back of your head saying, oh, you need to push it fast. Hopefully I'll be able to have it up in the coming few weeks, maybe before Christmas. I don't know. Maybe I'm not going to make it very personal in terms of design, but as soon as there is the information, that's what matters. I was actually watching. I was on a friend's website, personal website. He does also a bunch of things, some consulting, some content also, and I was surprised because that's someone who has a lot of personality, but his website in terms of branding was rather simple, and I thought, yeah, who cares? Actually, maybe the design is just needs to looks clean and to have all the information, and that's it. But maybe because I'm bad at design and I try to convince myself, maybe that's just it. Oh, you did at least 100 iteration. So what have you experimented the most with? Is it on the design aspect, or is it about the content itself, what you put out there on your website, or the order, or the level of detail? I like the fact that I think it's mainly one page, your website, right? Let's see. The website is right here. I don't see my full window. Yeah, your website is mainly one page, so I like that, especially given that you do a bunch of things. So it's hard to know, I guess, what you put in there, what you highlight the most, what do you want people to remember, and also what's your call to action. That's actually the first thing I've thought of. I was drafting what I wanted to put in there, and then I was looking at my just draft on paper, and I was like, okay, if I do that this way, there's no call to action. In the end, what do I want people to do? And that was the main question, right? Because you want your website to be informative, but you also want something out of it. And so, yeah, that's not that easy. What do you want in the end when people have done, when they are done browsing your website? What do you want people to do? And yeah, that's so tempting just to get into the detail, write a lot about what you do, what you've done, give some background information, and in the end you're like, no. If people want that, they just stop by to the stream and ask. In the end, that's how I feel this way. But yeah. So you said the hard part was the medium. So articles, video, audio, and you have put it in card format display. Yes, I've seen that. I think it looks really good. So I had on my previous website, I also had this kind of card display. Problem that I had with that is I had a page that was my latest appearance in podcast, in articles, and in the press. Problem is, I built my previous website in HTML entirely. Every time I had problems with this cards thing that was breaking, but also I failed to keep it updated. So what I'm going to do instead, I don't know if it's a good thing or not. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to put a link to a media kit where you can find my bio, some pictures, but also you can find just a Google page where you can find all my recent interviews and videos and podcasts and everywhere that I appeared. Because just this year, I have done a dozen of talks, just the public speaking talks. And then you add to that, podcast, articles where you interviewed or you mentioned. And so it's very hard to keep that updated. So that's why I'm going just to do a page and try to communicate clearly that that's, if you want the latest thing I've been on, that's where you can find it. But no more than that, because I don't think I can really keep the website updated. I don't have the time for that. So yeah, you say call to action, and to remember this is tough. It is. You try to mix and find the right thing, and you had mixed feelings and thoughts, but you study many use cases for inspiration and a little touch of some ideas I have. Well, that's pretty cool. And, I really liked your website because you do a bunch of things and it's clear. Like, we can find a lot about you from your page without feeling like you have like 5 pages and you have to read through everything to understand everything you do. So you manage to keep it concise, and that's a difficult exercise, especially when you're looking at your own personal website. It's hard to know what you want to highlight, what's really important, and how to show that really. You use redirect as a link for bookmark, so you can share what you sign up some social media profile and promo stuff. Okay. Yeah, that's good. I try to do that for everything related to my business, but I don't do it much for my personal stuff. And now the barrier between the two is really thin, right? What is just things that you do as a founder of your company, and what is just like what is part of the things that are going to be promoted by your company and by your company page, and what is just the thing that you do personally. And I found that over time it's really thin, because even if you interviewed you for who you are as an individual, and not because you're the founder of this company, in the end you're still going to talk about your business and what you do and the other stuff you do. So it's just about you in the end. So yeah, on the startup LinkedIn, for example, I try to keep it when it's related directly. Sometimes I promote that I'm going to mentor a hackathon or do this and that, but I don't over promote it just because of that. But yeah, that personal branding, right? That's not that easy, but it's pretty fun. Because in the end, it's also your own image, so you can have a bit more fun with what you do as an individual. I say a bit more fun, not too much. Still have to be professional, but still. I have actually watched a bunch of presentation and workshops on personal branding in the past, and I think all the time, I don't know, it really always lack of substantial advice, things that you can start applying right now. So every time I have seen some people giving workshops on personal branding, it was all about giving the high level talk about why you have to do it, and not exactly what are the small things you can start doing. What are the things that you need to be careful about? Things like, I don't know, homogenization of your title and picture, whatever, like things that you can really immediately do. And that's something I think people who are doing this kind of workshops should focus a bit more of. Because that's really cool to explain to people why they should be doing more personal branding. But that's not just it, right? It's not about how, why, but once you're convinced, how, where do you get started? I had a few mentors over the year, and so I have been speaking with them, to them, about personal branding quite a few times, because they wanted to get started, and so I think I managed to get some of them to do some stuff. But yeah, that's cool to see some people trying, experimenting to find what they like to do, because sometimes some founders want to start sharing a bit more about their journey and what they do, why they're doing it. They just don't know which channel is the best for them. And so when you start creating content, whatever the type of content, it's not just about what channel best works for your audience and what channel best work for the topic you want to talk about, but it's also, and more importantly, about what channel are you going to be able to stick to. For example, I've tried to do some blogging a few years ago, and I wasn't good at it just because creating content was so much of a pain for me. I mean, written content, just because I am not a native English speaker. I overthink when I write. I tend to read and read and read again, just to make sure there's no mistake, and I don't like it. I think I have to think too much. It requires me too much effort, and I doubt on my capability to write something good. While live streaming works for me. Videos, I like doing video editing. I'm not really a fan of I can't settle for a low quality. So with the equipment I have at my disposal right now, I can't do much more, so I prefer not to do much content at the moment. But maybe at some point I'll get back to it, find a way to do a better quality content with what I have. But yeah, it's about what can you stick to do something regularly. And for some people, some channel works great, like Instagram or TikTok. I haven't gotten into it yet, but I need to. So Fajar, you have created something on your personal website where if you put your personal website / my name, it redirects to my YouTube. Ooh, that's nice. That's pretty cool. So I just tried it and it does work. Thanks, that's so kind of you. That's pretty nice. That's so weird because I'm looking at my YouTube channel now and I was on your website like a second ago. That's the kind of thing I never tried. But yeah, no, that's super cool. Thanks, Fajar. Anyway, I am started to get thirsty. I don't have any water anymore. And we've been together for now 3 hours. That's super cool. I am so glad that today we were joined by a bunch of people that are new to the channel, some names that I've seen a few times, but not the few ones that are here every time, but lots of new faces, some people that haven't seen for a long time. So thanks everyone, and I'll do another stream next week certainly, but something very chill out. Like next week will be the weekend between Christmas and the New Year, so chances are I'm just going to do maybe either another coffee catch up or some video games. That doesn't mean we can have discussions. I mean, when I play video games, unless it's very intense. But we can always have a chat, talk about business stuff or not. That's just a way of doing a coffee catch up with doing something else than nothing and coffee. But yeah, so I'm certainly going to do that next week. If, as I said, if you want to reach out to me, or even just if you want to know about my next stream, I always announce it on my Twitter, which is my main channel, or the Discord, where you can also join, and you are welcome to just tell us more about you, any project you're working on, any gig project you're doing for the weekend or whatever. I'm going to wish you a great weekend ahead. Once again, thank you to everyone who are supporting me. If you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, we're trying to grow the YouTube, right? That's where you can find all my previous interviews with founders. So check out my YouTube. Simple. It's really simple to find me actually on social media, because that's just my name. I use my name everywhere, so you should be able to find me on YouTube easily. Otherwise, whatever the platform, there is a link somewhere in the description or in my about page somewhere underneath the platform, YouTube or Twitter today, where you can find a link to YouTube. And another thank you to everyone who subscribed to me as a monthly subscriber on Buy Me a Coffee, or everyone that have been interacting with this page, buying a one-to-one session, or just getting me a coffee when they can. Huge thanks, because that means the world to me. And yeah, that's it for today. thanks a lot, everyone, for just being around and sharing your own journey. And I had a really good time today. So I wish I'll see you all next week, and feel free to reach out anytime. Bye, everyone.